Welcome back to The Express at Parallel 49 Craft Brewery in East Vancouver. You gotta love a young success story. These guys have seen a lot of momentum in the microbrewery area since they launched just this January. And we have another young success story up next on the show. Surrey-based band Good for Grapes. Since they appeared on Canada's Got Talent and opened for Mother Mother, well, it's helped put them in the spotlight.
With only some locally produced music videos and a basement-recorded EP, Good for Grapes are impressing folks across Canada with their folk.
If only I were a successful business owner, I'd put a ring on you then.
The whole project, including the name, was kind of a beautiful accident. Never meant to be more than jamming with friends on a trip to Victoria.
We're on the van to the ferry, and Alexa has this bag of grapes with her. She turns back to me and she goes, "Oh, Graham, would you like some grapes?" And I said, No, thanks. I'm good for grapes." We laugh. We're like, "Ha, that'd be a funny band name." Yeah, we weren't with no intention of being a band. We just, that'd be funny. So we're on the ferry and we're practicing just anything we can so we can do busking. And all these people come to the side of the ferry and they start watching us. Finally, we just run out of stuff to play, and everyone's asking us, "Oh, who are you guys? What's your band name? What are you guys called?" So it's when we awkwardly look around and go, "Well, we're Good for Grapes."
The sound, where did it come from? Who are your influences that led you to this? It's not maybe your typical sound for a high school band.
We started all listening to this like folk music, and it kind of changed the way we thought about playing music, and I myself got really into it and started writing stuff and taking it to them, and we started doing it together, and we realized we love playing together with these, random instruments, and when people started to like it, we kind of thought, this is fantastic. There's nothing a musician would love to do more than just play music all the time. So we decided to not go to university and just stay together playing music.
Right now, this is sort of a sound that's coming in more with the folk sort of influence. Do you think there's a reason for that with this sort of next generation kids interested in music that's 60, 70 years old, sometimes the roots of it anyway?
I know a lot of people who listen to like electronic music who love us just because it's more of a raw sound. People will always want that kind of roots sound because it just, it's always been around, and people have modified it to kind of suit the modern needs. That's what we're trying to do, is kind of modify the usual folk thing to kind of fit what we love to play.
How was the experience for you? Martin Short called you the future of Canada.
Actually, before we went on, I was really worried about what Martin Short would think of us, and when he said that, my heart grew 10 times its size. I was very, very stoked on that.
That, honestly, especially from a man like Martin Short, that just our hearts soared when he said that. Just to hear that, whether or not he was lying or not, it was just awesome to hear.
Western Canadian tour, what are you expecting? What has been your tour experience up to this point?
Up to this point, we've just been doing tiny little tours, a couple shows at a time, but we've never just gone out for a month and just show after show after show. So after this, tomorrow we're heading to Kamloops, and after that it's Revelstoke and Golden and the Island and Alberta, and it's just every day playing. We've never done that before.
It's going to be something we'll be telling stories about for a while, whether those are stories about this crazy show that we played out where we had 1 million fans come out, or that time where our van broke down and we got stuck for 3 days in the middle of a road. Either way, it's certainly going to be a new experience for us, something we've been looking forward to for a very long time and building up to for a very long time.
They have several more Lower Mainland shows booked at the end of this tour, all posted on goodforgrapes.com. I'm Paul McLelland in Vancouver for The Express.
Most of the band are still teenagers, so definitely one to watch for on the Vancouver scene. You can give them a follow on Facebook at Good for Grapes. I know, since we've had wine and beer on the show today, you might have thought that was the time, but it isn't. It's about passion and specialties and how you express yourself creatively, like perhaps through collecting. This next story takes us on a rock hounding adventure along the Fraser River.
could be one step away from the next big, huge discovery that's never been found in BC.
He began going after gold as a kid, and he hasn't stopped since. Rockhounder prospector Norm Meriden turned his love for shiny rocks and the outdoors into a career. He scours the upper Fraser Valley and down at the Fraser River for that next rock or mineral.
Over 650 different varieties of stone found on the Fraser River, of which I think there's about a dozen gemstones in there, so it's a fantastic place to go out and start your search.
Norm and his prospecting partner Jody Cordarelli have been rock hounding for over 20 years. They've located all sorts of rocks and minerals, including jade, gold, and most recently, thulite. Jody may have started out ambling for agates, but her interest in pretty stones just kept continually rolling.
It's almost like an addiction. Once you find one, you want to find another, because it's really hard to find the first one, and once your eye spots them, then it gets easier and easier to find. And I remember when I first went, it was really hard for me to find one, but after I found one, then I just kept going back and more, and now I go to the river 20 years later and I can find a handful, no problem.
The landscape diversity in the Fraser Valley makes it easy for anyone to start hounding. You just need to get going.
Research and then venturing out. Reading geology books as much as you can. It really helps you understand what forms certain areas and where you can find specific things. Roadside Geology of British Columbia is a great book because basically it shows you all the geology, all the fault lines and areas where there's faults or areas where you're going to start finding really cool stuff.
The mighty Fraser River is a cauldron for all kinds of rocks and minerals from across the province of BC. And despite what people may think, there is quite a variety. And it's fairly easy to do. You just have to look for what appeals to you. And then you can take it from there.
A lot of times you could keep it, put it in a rock tumbler, polish it. People will use stones for metaphysical properties, and then sometimes people like to carry it just for like show and just because it feels good, it makes you feel good, or you can turn it into jewelry like I do.
Although she's owned the Happy Prospector Rock and Gem Shop for several years, it was only 4 years ago that Jody began creating jewelry from her found gems.
I learned a lot of my techniques and stuff through customers, and they teach me how to do it, and then I've taught them a few things, and it was just kind of like an exchange.
Soon, Jody will be able to offer signature jewelry featuring Dusty Rose Thulite. Both her and Norm discovered the stone while out on a quad ride in the area. It's discoveries like this one that keeps the pair always coming back for more.
Every day is a treasure hunt when you're out there. You could be one step away from the next big nugget, or from the next thulite deposit, or from the next big jade deposit. So it's just that treasure hunter kind of feeling that you get. If somebody had told me years ago that you can make a living off of the shiny rocks that you find on the ground, we would have been doing this a long time ago.
In Agassiz, I'm Tiffany Gurdon for Shaw TV.
You can find the Happy Prospector Rock and Gem Shop in Agassiz. You can also visit them online at happyprospector.ca. You're watching The Express, and coming up, we're going to visit the Naramata Bench and an award-winning restaurant in Whistler.
One of the best growing areas in the Okanagan for grapes.
The microclimate magic of the Naramata Bench.
So you're the first thing that the guest sees, and you're the last thing that goes onto the table.
Araxes pastry powerhouse. The Express. We are your local voice.
The Express is brought to you in part by Plum, fashion supplier to host Johanna Ward.
Welcome back to The Express at Parallel 49 Craft Brewery in East Vancouver. As Mike Todd mentioned to us earlier on this show, the craft brewing scene, or the microbrewing scene, is growing almost as fast as the wine scene in BC did about a decade ago. And there's a reason that our BC Vino is so popular, especially as you'll see in this next story when you hit the back roads of the Naramata Bench.
Cultus Lake Water Park's Big Summer is brought to you by Cultus Lake Water Park.
This winding country road loops lazily through the heart of BC's Okanagan wine country, past over 20 wineries along the Naramata Bench. This unique glacier-formed landscape has long been home to orchards, and now a new crop is taking root.
These are some of the oldest grapes in the Naramata Bench.
Hillside Winery's Duncan McCowan shares the secret of the area's success.
And with the soils and the great reflection off the lake, we get a great degree of, or high degree days as we call it in here, so it makes it one of the best growing areas in the Okanagan for grapes.
Poplar Grove founder and chief winemaker Ian Sutherland says the Naramata Bench is like an exclusive club.
It's really a tiny viticultural area, like maybe 25 kilometers by sometimes only 100 meters wide. You've got rock on the mountain, a little bit of glacial deposit that we can grow in, and the lake, and that's it.
Lake Breeze is a 12-acre property with vineyard, tasting room, courtyard, and a patio restaurant that encourages you to shift into slow gear.
There really is something special, and I think it's a huge reason why all of our staff have stayed for years upon years. There is a magical quality. I just think it's a combination of the incredible lake views, the vineyard, just the charm to the place, the rural road.
So this is the courtyard out here.
Wow, it's so nice. It's cool out here.
It is.
There's an incredible diversity of wineries on the Naramata Bench, including Elephant Island, where the wine has an unexpected twist.
We specialize in wines made from fruits other than grapes, using traditional processes but still with the same reverence that traditional wines are made with.
Just up the road lies the old family farm of Robert Van Westen.
I was born in a house about 6 stone throws from where we are right now and moved a quarter kilometer when I was 8 weeks old. This is my backyard and it's an amazing place.
Van Westen has turned an old storage building into a no-frills winery in keeping with his rustic roots.
Oh, there it is. It's the diversity on the bench that's so special about coming here. You can find everything from little sheds to beautiful, extravagant buildings. I think that's pretty cool in such a small area.
So this is it. This is where the magic happens.
At Upper Bench Estate Winery, Shanna Miller has started making cheese to complement her husband Gavin's wine.
It's a dream that we've always had. We've tried several times to make it happen, and it finally happened.
Every turn of the road brings you to a new treasure on the map.
You know, traveling around, looking at other wine regions, and always coming home feeling like, wow, the Naramata Bench. It produces wines as good as anywhere in the world, and I really love living here.
For more information, visit tourismpenticton.com or naramatabench.com. For Big Summer on the Naramata Bench, I'm Doug Brown.
Cultus Lake Water Park Big Summer has been brought to you by Cultus Lake Water Park.
Winemakers, brewmasters, pastry chefs, they're all masters of art and science. And with more on that, we're checking back in with Nicole Fitzgerald in Whistler Village. So, Nicole, are you a dessert person?
Yes, I am, Johanna. I love desserts and breads. They're both my Achilles heels, and it's what starts and finishes a fine dining experience. And at the helm of it all, the pastry chef.
You're the bookcase for the meal, so you're the first thing that the guest sees and you're the last thing that goes onto the table.
Every dining experience at Araxi begins with pastry chef Aaron Heath's handmade dinner rolls made from his own sourdough starter.
It's important that you make a really good first impression, and you know the rest of the meal happens, and then you have to carry that through right till the very last bite of the meal.
The life of a pastry chef. This supporting role often doesn't come with the spotlight of an executive chef, but without pastries, savory and sweet gifts, there would be no overture or denouement to the magic of fine dining. And that magic can only come to life under the dedicated hands of hard work, passion, and repetition. After 15 years of working pastry, that amounts to a lot of rolls.
I tried to calculate it once and I stopped counting after a million.
This repetition of classic recipes are what build a pastry chef. The basics of sugar, flour, and butter are building blocks. The recipe is the science, and once mastered, then creativity comes into play.
Today I'm going to make my interpretation of a Black Forest cake. To me, when I think about a Black Forest cake, it's a layered chocolate cake that's, it's focusing around chocolate, cherries, and whipped cream. So what I've done, I've taken those flavor components and I've made a flourless chocolate cake, but I combine, instead of just whipped cream, I'm making both a dark chocolate and a white chocolate mousse. Now I'm just making them individual little cakes.
The recipe for Aaron's Black Forest cake is showcased in the Araxi cookbook, but like any living piece of art, this recipe continues to evolve.
This is my Black Forest cake recipe. I've been making these same ones for about 4 years now, and this is the original one in 2008. And just over time, the quantities change. I adjust it over time until finally I have a nice brand new clean version of the Black Forest cake 2012.
tucked away in the mountains of Whistler, this George Brown-trained chef follows his passion along with the fruit seasons, rather than trends.
I'm glad it's not cupcakes anymore. They have great childhood memories for me, but I'm not sure what the appeal was as far as like on a media mass explosion level. I'm not sure where that came from. So I'm kind of happy it's gone to something a little more classic like the macarons, which are everywhere right now.
Cakes, macaroons, financiers, a beautiful language spoken by many, young and old, gluten-free and vegetarian. This is what keeps Aaron passionate in the kitchen.
I think it brings people satisfaction. There's a very, very small amount of people I've met that actually don't like desserts or chocolate or fruit or just any of those things. It's sharing good food in the end.
An avid outdoorsman, his enthusiasm for his work only lies hidden in his smile.
I have more cavities than I can count, that's for sure.
Sweet in body and spirit, the perfect finish, giving new meaning to nice guys and plates finish last. From Whistler, I'm Nicole Fitzgerald for Shaw TV.
Aaron says the biggest challenge for himself in the kitchen, puff pastries and croissants. And even after 15 years, he still loves to challenge himself. He also makes personalized wedding cakes. And for more fun to be had in the Sea to Sky, Metro Vancouver and the Fraser Valley, we've got the 411 on your FYI.
Radar's Quality Assured Collisions FYI is presented by Radar's Quality Assured Collision, an ICBC Valet accredited repair facility.
The Scotiabank Canadian Open Fast Pitch International Championship comes to Surrey June 30th to July 9th with softball action and festivities for the whole family. The TD Vancouver International Jazz Festival runs to July 1st. This weekend, it's the free opening weekend at the Vancouver Art Gallery and Robson Square. Visit Van Jazz Fest for more details. Shaw hosts the 4th Annual Canada Day Parade from downtown Vancouver. Sunday, July 1st at 7 p.m., the streets come alive with over 50 parade entries, showcasing our rich and diverse nation.
Radar's Quality Assured Collisions FYI was presented by Radar's Quality Assured Collision.
And that's it for today's Express from Parallel 49 Craft Brewery in East Vancouver. A reminder that their new tasting room and retail store is expected to be open in mid-July. I'm Johanna Ward. Thanks for watching The Express, only on Shaw TV.